I want to talk about the DC solution, what we called the second grid. And before I come to technical explanations and what is actually the use case, I want to first make a little bit clear why we are doing it. And I also want to take a little bit the opportunity to talk about Current West very shortly. That's why Hartwig and I are together in Vienna, because we have in Vienna our Current West assembly with all the people together to drive this use case. So to come to DC, you need to make sure that you have the manufacturers, they're all producing equipment, and to be on the same page. So we're driving standards here, and we're driving the possibility to get interoperability between different manufacturers. So that's how I'll stop about Current West. And I always like this picture to explain the real issue, because if you look to this picture, you will see the full energy landscape, what we are doing today. So we have the transmission by oil, then we have the tank wagons, and we distribute the energy to the cars, etc. And then we have the electricity system, and we have the gas system. And what we are doing today, except particularly in the Netherlands, we try to push everything through the electrical system. So we're pushing the loads to the electrical distribution, and we convert the gas. So the gas will be pushed to the, so you can see the gas will be pushed to electricity, and the oil will be produced to electricity. And then with a little bit imagination, you can imagine that will lead to issues, because the cables are not strong enough. We cannot manage the power, because it's a huge amount of energy that you need to distribute through electricity. So this case, and this picture always like also a lot, because here you see what is actually the biggest issue in the system, is that we have a system that is designed top to bottom. So we have normally, in the classic way, we produce the energy in the generators, and then we distribute to the customers. So normally we distribute always 100% of the power till the consumers. But now with the renewables added into the system, we end up in much power into our last mile. And I always compared with the human body. You have the heart, that's the big pump. You have the aorta, and then you have the main vessels, and then you have the hair vessels. And now we start to produce energy in the hair vessels. And most people know when you do a lot of pressure in the small vessels, you get these blood explosions inside these small vessels. You get these blue spots, everything, because the system is not able to manage that pressure that is locally generated. And that has led into the Netherlands to this picture. And probably many people have seen this picture before, that Netherlands is quite an orange country, but it becomes red, how to say, from this point of view. And this means, this picture, to explain a little bit what this means, it doesn't say that our grid is bad, but the grid is running at a limit to stay reliable. So if they add more, they cannot provide the availability and the reliability of the system. And that has resulted to, on the moment, as we speak today, there are 6,000 companies on the waiting list for a new connection, for an expansion of the connection, where 2,200 companies are there asked for a new connection. And this list is for companies that have to wait longer than 1.5 years. That is important to say. So this is excluding the companies who are just wait half a year or whatever. So this means it's already long-term waiting. And the 1.5 year is a very positive waiting time. They expect it will be reasonably more, probably 5 to 10 years before they get connections. So, and the list is growing between 90 and 150 companies per week who ask for a change of the POC to connect to the electrical system. And the other list is actually companies who want to produce energy asking for connection. That waiting list is already 8,000 companies. And these numbers you have to compare to the size of the country. The Netherlands is a very small country. It's more like a city compared to many other countries. So that means this is a huge issue. So, and we expect that this will be coming globally everywhere in Europe, at least in Europe, and also in the US and also in China. And that's why I would say that Netherlands is very good in running up in problems, facing issues, because they're running fast and they. And one very bad thing is happening actually, because we have lack of housing, and they want to build 1 million houses before 2030. But many houses projects are completely delayed because even ordinary houses are not able to connect to the electrical system. So this is actually the discussion, the effect of the energy transition, what we're pushing today in the EU to become green. And what is very important, it creates a lot of angry people, because people feel themselves, because they move into this green field and suddenly they cannot run the business anymore on this point. So the regulators push for electrical mobility, they push for electrical heating and all these kind of things, and then you face these issues. And I also want to address one other topic, and that is if you drive electric cars in the Netherlands, I drive one, and what I face all the time, that people with electric cars are a little bit the exclusive people who can have normally these private parking places, because where most people cannot, with the combustion engine, cannot stay. So it already happens a few times to me that people park the car on my cable, so I cannot disconnect. So to make to show they're angry that we have this always these good parking spots. But at the same time, you see in the community of EV charging that the cost for charging is really varying depending how you live. If you have a luxurious house, you can charge at home, and you have huge PV installation, you charge very cheap. If you're living in an apartment, probably you cannot park anymore in the garage. You have to park on street, but most cases you don't find a place, and then you have to go to the fast charger. So you see that the cost of driving is depending how you live. And that makes also people very angry in this case, because you really start to polarize. And this is why I like this picture, because in this same neighborhood of 20 meters, you have 3 different cases. So the neighbors on Saturday in this house says, it's nice, I didn't pay anything for my last week for charging. While these people say, yeah, come on, I was lucky to get the parking place and I could charge, but I pay 40 euro cents or 50 euro cents or 80 euro cents on the moment even. And the other guy was even more complaining because he always have to go to the fast charger and to pay more and to wait. So that is what we see happening. So the energy transition becomes negative. And one other thing I want to address, because the Netherlands is looking into grid expansion. And what you see now today is that the cost of having a connection became a major cost. So, and to explain, if you have a 3-phase 25 amps today, that is suitable for the classic approach, you pay 400 euros per year to have the connection. But if you want to go to energy efficient connection today with the classic approach, with the EV, with the heat pump, you have to upgrade your POC to, for example, to 40 amps. You will pay 1,730 euros per year just for having the connection. And you see today that the grid connection cost is actually becomes a major part instead of the energy bill. So, and this is important to keep in mind. And to keep in mind is that the rise of the fees is going in double digits per year. So they expect for the next 5 years, next 5 to 10 years, to have a continuous raise of between 10 and 20% of the POC from the subscribers to pay. So this is, we have to put in mind. And this is, and what is then the solution today is that people talk about, you have to expand the grid. And grid expansion, I take this picture from ChatGPT. So ChatGPT completely understands what I want to express. Because if we have to upgrade our connections in cities, in villages, it will be looking like this completely. And people will be very, very angry. And one thing to put in mind, and that's why DC is so important, is that if you look to the European projected cost of grid expansion, we talk about 1,000 to 2,000 billion euros to invest into digging, because that is the value what we invest if we move to grid expansion, because we have to replace cables, we have to dig. So that means it's a massive capital that they don't bring anything from my point of view, unless we estimate that diggers or to dig holes is a very high value proposition. But from my point of view, I think we should invest in technology to prevent digging, to futurize our system. And this is where it, for me, is the second grid about. And this is one of the topics what the grid operators face today in the Netherlands. If you go to grid expansion, you move from 10 kV to 20 kV, you have to upgrade stations, you have to do a lot of things, and this is incredibly time consuming, and there are a lack of resources. But worst of all, if you talk to transformer manufacturers or cable suppliers, they already have a customer buy for 3 to 6 years, already completely occupied. And this is only due showing up in the Netherlands. But for sure, this will be in Austria, this will be in France, that will be in Germany. It will be exactly, mark my words on that one, in the next 5 years, you enter into the same situation like the Netherlands. You cannot connect the people. So it will hugely impact the economics in Europe. And another solution I want to shortly address is that the IT is looking into it. Maybe we can do it by digitalization. And from my point of view, digitalization is, how to say, the last option to use, because the electrical system in the past was so beautiful because it was simple, a simple system with simple components and remain incredibly reliable. And now we make this very simple system, we make huge complex by adding a digital layer. And this lead to many new topics that we don't know yet today. You see this when there are big disasters going on, like in Ukraine, that actually the electrical infrastructure is the target to hit. And if you go to digitalization, then you make yourself incredibly vulnerable. Even like guys on 12 years old sitting in their bedroom playing with the computer could maybe kill something. So that is, we have to address. So what I want to propose, and that is, of course, and I'm always a little bit biased on DC, most people know that, is that what we propose is actually what we call the second grid. And that means instead of replacing what we have today in a stupid way, it's to make cross connections between on the MV level, for example, to enable truck charging, to enable large PV fields, and to enable large wind farms to connect to the medium voltage systems, and to optimize living in the same, almost in the same house, in the same street together. And if I want to send a package, what I do, I normally call DHL or call the transporter, and I said, oh, I have a package for my neighbor. Okay, he will pick it up distribution center and drives back to my village to give it to my neighbor. There is no system that you can connect between the neighbors, because we don't have that in this case. And that is why to bring it, drop it, it saves a lot of traffic, and then we don't complain about queuing in the traffic system. So this is actually the same approach what we do in the electrical system. So we make cross connections between different congestions area on the medium voltage part, and we make connections between the different areas in the LV part. And then we bring the new loads, the new use cases, just to the DC part to free the existing system from these new use cases, because the system is designed actually where we use it for the last 130 years for, and not for the new energy system. So that's why there's a lot of advantages. Oh, I have to run up a little bit in time, I see. So a lot of advantages, and I show it's a lot of text. I will share my presentation to the audience. I will send the PDF so you can really read all these small details. And so there are a lot of technical reasons, but I want to show a little bit this picture to make it clear. And what is interesting about this approach, you start mixing different use cases what we run today. We talk about 5G, we talk about we talk about heat pumps, we talk about block heating, we talk about all these kind of things. And these are new built installations, new structures to make. And in our, how to say, a little bit biased opinion, it is incredibly smart to do that on DC and relieve the existing system from these type of architecture. So, and that could lead also, for example, to more hybrid solution when you have hybrid houses, partially DC, partially AC, from the grid operator. And this is maybe something to address what is very interesting, because in Europe, many countries talk about the DSO, but actually the DSO in Europe doesn't exist. We only have DNOs. So we have network operators who are providing the connection and to provide the capacity. We don't have an organization who is there to optimize the connection capacity between the different subscribers. And this role is by purpose that this role doesn't exist, because otherwise you get discrimination inside these monopolized areas. And when you have the second grid, this is interesting if it's part of the public domain, because here the DSO can optimize the power in their system and extend lifetime of the existing investment that is done in the past. And this, by the way, this is roughly 20% of the cost compared to grid expansion. So it's not talking about the business case. You spend 5 times more in a classic way. Yeah. Yeah. So this is it is really, and we enabling these new possibilities into the landscape. And this is one of the projects, and of course it's not. I'm talking as if we can do it all the time, everywhere now. We have to go to a lot of demonstrators. So we're working very hard in the Netherlands to build in this area where you have, I always called the happy few living here, with the huge houses and electric cars and the solar. And then you have, how to say, the ordinary people who are living here in social housing. In the Netherlands, we really mix. And the interesting part of this area is this area need to remove gas. These houses are from the 70s. And to remove gas from the 70s, you have to install a huge heat pump, and you will have high energy prices. And to isolate these houses, it's also very expensive. And but the grid operator cannot connect the next 10 years these houses to expand the grid to install these heat pumps. But in the meantime, the gas system need to be replaced because it's end of life. So what do? Do you wait 10 years with a gas system that is end of life? Or, so the municipality is actually on the page to renew the gas system while we have to remove gas. And this huge investment makes it more affordable to consider the second grid. So this is on a political level, one of the discussions we do. And it is very painful, I must say, because of the regulator topic. So this is by coincidence my house, but that will be also on DC and to show, and a lot of things in there. It could be a totally different presentation, but this is a lot of things there to enable to start the second grid and to prevent that the grid operator has to renew everything in the AC system. So this is a little bit that you can read later. And so I want to end my slide a little bit with current OS again, because it's a current operated system. And this is incredibly important, because to run these use cases, what I'm explaining today, there are so many different stakeholders involved, and we need to ensure that this connectivity to all these stakeholders are in the same page.